And she made me laugh. And I laughed and I said, I was like, you're funny. I was like, I like you. And then,
Oh no!
see,
Oh no!
she got it right away.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of Korea Unfiltered. Today I have a new guest. This guy has been my boyfriend in commercials. Like he was my man in commercials. You remember this, right?
I do,
Okay,
yeah.
he was my man in commercials. Say hello to Josh Guy.
Hello.
The star, the legend, the K-drama star.
Okay, we got to cut that off. It's just...
He was literally like, can you not say that? And I'm just
Yep.
like, I'm starting the episode like that. Welcome, Josh, to Korea Unfiltered.
This is indeed. I was thinking that when I sat down. I was like, oh, there's cameras. Very unfiltered. No makeup. Just
Yeah, we just come out like this,
Yeah.
you know? I came out of my mom's hoo-ha like this.
looking good.
Yes, just beautiful. Anyways.
I do appreciate the lighting, though.
It's quite nice, isn't
That
it?
is very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. She's trying.
That's right.
She's out here. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Yeah.
I am famous.
That's if I ever start a
would
sentence
never be
like
your
that,
friend.
you have to message me, slap me, whatever.
I'd be
Yeah, I
like,
will not.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you being held hostage
Please.
to say you're famous?
That's right. Just
yeah, no,
look for me blinking.
Be like, oh my god, it's hostage situation.
Oh,
But
yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
As Paris said, my name is Josh Newton, and I was previously Paris's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We broke up, guys.
It was short but
It was
sweet,
it was like less than 24 hours.
and then it really was, wasn't it?
Less than 24
And then the kicker, they didn't even. They
I've
never
seen that video.
they never put it out.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never seen that video ever.
Your audience would have no idea what we're talking about.
Oh yeah. Do you want to explain it? I feel like you can explain it really well.
Sure, it was a Seoul tourism video.
Which never came out.
Yeah, and they did
Yeah.
different versions of it, and they keep filming different versions of it, but I haven't seen them.
Even one. I've never even seen
Yeah, so in
Yeah.
that time, Paris and I had to be the couple, the main couple for that shoot,
one. Yeah.
and we
Remember
got
the paddleboarding?
we did paddleboarding.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wasn't touching that water.
yeah.
I was there like, and Josh is like, this is fun.
This is all right. And Paris is like laying on the board,
I
just
don't want to fall in this water.
Yeah.
Like, ew, it's Hangang water.
yeah. It's the Han River. Yeah, it's not the cleanest of.
No.
Yeah.
You were having a great time though.
Well, then we talked about that, but then the director was like, "Hey, can you like jump in, like pretend that you lose
and you
balance?"
were like, oh, and I was like, disgusting.
yeah, yeah.
That's nasty.
You just kept saying, "Keep your mouth really tightly closed."
No,
Just,
your nose holes. Just
yeah,
water up in
everything.
there. Josh, you are a trooper because they couldn't pay me enough to do that.
That's true. But
Nah, you were just like, okay.
there were no mutations, so
No
I'm
skin
okay.
disease,
Not
nothing?
yet. It was a few years ago, so
we never know.
that's
Something
right.
could happen. But
It's
that
very-
Han River water, I look at it and I'm like, never mind. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. But what are you doing in Korea?
I
I mean, you do a lot.
yeah. Good.
do a lot.
Good question. I was thinking about that on the way here. I guessed you would ask me that. Yeah. And I thought, well, how do I answer that? With keeping with your theme of like Korea
Uh-huh.
Unfiltered,
Yeah.
I would say, what I tell a lot of people when they come here, they want to do entertainment,
Yeah.
is the lifespan of a foreigner in entertainment is very
It's
short,
very, very short.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you agree with me.
Oh, 100%.
When I first got here, I met some rather curmudgeonly individuals who were like, Korea. They're just very angry because they had been here for like 7 years,
Yeah, so long. Yeah.
just fighting through entertainment.
Is that you now?
I'm not curmudgeonly, no, but my first impression of them was like, wow, man, like chill.
You're so bitter.
Yeah, exactly. You're so
Yeah,
bitter and
yeah.
sour about
like,
everything.
what's
It's
wrong with
just
you?
pure salt.
Yeah.
Um,
And now the salt is coming onto us.
well, now I get their saltiness. Yeah,
From the
exactly.
Salt Bay right
A little
now.
Salt Bay action
It's
here.
just Salt Bay. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I get where they're coming from,
Mm-hmm.
but to not become them,
Yeah.
what I tell people is that in that time, you basically get like 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you enter the space, and then you need to make waves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Almost immediately, to be honest.
and then you do that by just spamming agencies, being like, "Hey, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give this a shot."
Yeah.
And then that first year, they kind of just test you out, and they'll throw you in things here and there, and they're like, "Okay."
Like random things.
Yeah. And then the problem also is that with the foreign market, if we're brutally honest, it's a lot of people who are just here, just having a great time, right? Early 20s, just blah.
Just having a good fun
Yeah.
time.
And, no shade to them. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But then it also, those agents that you're dealing with in agencies, they get kind of jaded and tainted by that, because you get these 22-year-olds who roll in late, don't care, don't do a good job,
Yeah.
no experience, blah, blah. So then when you come on and you're like, hey, I want to actually take this seriously,
Try to be a professional, yeah.
they're like, really? Yeah.
After a
mhm.
year, you'll leave anyway.
Exactly.
That's what they're
Yeah,
thinking.
right?
Yeah, and
That's
it's like, I'm still here,
that's a big thing. So you have to actually show some professionalism and then show that you want to do this. Then after that first year, your second year rolls in, and then that's like your commercial year. Yeah. You'll just end up doing a ton of commercials,
Oh, yeah.
right? You'll do the
like
Hyundai,
yeah.
LGs, Samsung, whatever.
Yeah, because they just discovered you, so they're like, yes, use them, yes, use them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then part of the short lifespan is, I know it's the same in like probably every part of the world,
Maybe, yeah.
but like the new face, right?
The excitement.
Exactly. And that's what they want, is new face. And I'm sure it's the same in other parts and in other industries as well, but it just seems like it's even more the priority.
In Korea.
Yeah, in Korea. And then especially because you're a foreigner in a small foreign market. So that second year, yeah, you get used a lot for commercial work. Probably be your best financial year.
Oh, dang.
And then your third year, commercial work just dries up.
Samsung is like, we've used her already. LG's like, we've used her already.
Yep.
All these commercials are like, where's the new girls?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
And then your contract's always like, you shouldn't go beyond 1 year, but 1 year usage kind of thing,
yeah.
right? Or sometimes they try to push for more. And then in that time, they're not going to use you again.
Oh, no, they're not.
If the director or the client, actually, it's not even the director,
Yeah.
if the client wants you,
They're gonna pick
it
you.
doesn't matter.
They're really gonna pick you.
Yeah.
And I've had like situations where it's like the same director, and they'll be like, "Oh, I know Paris, so I'll pick her again."
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do feel like these days, I don't know if you feel like this. I feel like it's getting harder to get like Samsung and LG work.
And so then that was going to be my next point, is after that commercial year, your third year, if you've proven yourself and at the same time you've been dipping your toe in drama, movies, stuff like that, then that becomes your like more acting type year.
Yeah.
But to get better roles, in your commercial year, you should be doing and setting stones for extra work.
Right.
It sucks doing background work.
Bro, oh my god.
You're just
I can't
it's-
stand extra work.
it's pretty brutal in Korea. I think it's bad everywhere, but like it's worse.
Terrible here. They
Yeah.
just don't care about you. I'm sorry.
Not at
They're
all.
just like, we don't care about you.
Yeah,
no,
you're
I
a
can't stand
slab of meat.
Yeah, they're like, you can come and go. And actually, no, you have to stay here for 12 hours, and we're not going to feed you or give you water or give you coffee.
Yeah.
They're just like, what? Yeah.
Or like you're on set. Thankfully I wasn't there, but my manager was there.
Yeah.
And she said it was a night shoot, and
Yeah.
they didn't tell anyone. It was in the winter. They just knew it was a night shoot in the winter, and they roll in, and they told them to bring suits, and they're like, oh, it's a night shoot in the winter, and it's raining. And so then they just created the fake rain, and so people are slipping and like falling, and
because
they're-
it's going to create ice then.
yeah, exactly. And then their suits are getting wet, and everyone's nice clothes and blah blah, and they're just like whatever. And then
They're like, you're an extra.
yeah, basically. And then they said, can you at least give us a place to like warm up, right?
Oh my god, they didn't even give them a trailer or anything.
They did. And so then they went and they found a building, and they all like ran in there to warm
They're
up
all
for a
like-
little bit. Yeah.
like
And then
crackheads.
exactly. Then the producers come running over. They're like, what are you doing? Get back out there. And they're like, it's going to take you 20 minutes to set up the cameras. Like,
And they literally just want you to stand there. as they
exactly.
set up cameras.
And you get treated like a child, and it's
Yeah.
infuriating.
You've been doing a lot of dramas and stuff like that.
So then my point was going to be that you kind of just have to grin and bear it. You grind through it in your second year. And then in your third year, you can actually get some speaking roles or things like that. There's a couple agencies you really have to prove yourself to.
Yeah.
And then it opens up doors.
Okay.
But then after your third year, your fourth year, you're like, what do I do now? So
This is it now.
yeah, when you're asking me to go back to your original question, what do I do? My advice to people is you have to keep reinventing, and that's the key word, reinventing yourself as you go. So your first year, you can do model work. So I used to do, you probably won't believe me, but I used to do a little bit of fashion work.
You probably won't believe
Yeah.
me.
But then their answer every time was, you're too big.
What do you mean? mean? Like size big?
Size big, yeah. They're like, you're
'Cause
just
Koreans are usually more.
exactly.
Like,
And then on top of
that.
that, of course, they don't your typical like slender model kind of figure.
Because Korean models are very thin.
Oh yeah, too,
very,
right?
Very thin, yeah.
So then they're looking at me. They're like, they try to put me in this shirt, and it's like a crop top. And they're like, and I'm standing there going, no. And they're like, not bad. Okay.
Turns into Magic Mike.
Yeah,
and you're just
it's.
like, I guess.
You're like, this is not. I have worn so many pairs of pants that were way too tight.
And they're like, great.
Yeah, yeah. And
You
you're
look
like,
amazing.
you're like, I don't think it's supposed
They
to be
will
that
lie
tight.
to your face. And
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
be like, oh, I guess I do look great.
Thanks, baby.
And then everybody's seeing it and they're like, what is that?
And you see the photos, and you're just like,
You're like,
that's
can't be
a
me."
little too obvious.
It's clearly not my size,
Yeah.
but okay. So you did
Then
fashion work.
first, and then I went into the commercial side of things, and then as I talked about the extra work,
Yeah.
and then I was into the acting side of things predominantly, and then I shifted into voice acting.
Oh, okay.
So I did that was like last year. I guess that was is this my 4th year? So yeah, it was my
You've
third
been here for so long, you don't know.
4th year in entertainment. Yeah, but I've been here for 6.5 years now.
Oh, you've been here for a long time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then, so it was last year, it was predominantly voice work and then drama work.
And what work?
Drama.
Oh, drama. I heard
sorry.
Geronimo work.
Yeah, my
I was
voice, I like,
Geronimo.
I took a little sip of water there.
Take
Yeah.
your time.
So that's all happened. And then, the reinvention every time, right? And to touch on one of your questions for later, I guess is like a preview for that being a foreigner in Korea, it affords you those opportunities.
Oh, 100%.
And those possibilities. But you actually have to be active in trying to
Find those opportunities.
and pursue them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't just sit there and expect it.
A lot of people just whinge at me about what is going on and the issues they have with entertainment, and I'm sitting there looking at them going like, I mean, a lot of things you say I do agree with you, but I also see that you're not actively doing anything to reinvent yourself. And we know that there is this very short 3-year life cycle.
There definitely is.
So if you're not doing anything but just trying to ride that, then you're going to be left with no money, and you're like, well.
And they're just going to keep picking the next person. They're never going to pick you because you're not trying.
And then
Yeah,
when
for
you've been
sure.
here longer and longer, you get into, depending on how those 3 years went, you get into this role or this kind of category where you're like a legacy now, right? In that they're like, oh, well, we haven't used Josh for a long time. Let's, is he still alive? Is
Let's dust him out real quick
Yeah,
and bring him back.
Pretty much.
Like,
It's like,
bring him back.
yeah.
Yeah.
You do feel like this like corpse that they just kind of like reanimate. And they're like, hey, just bring them out. So, yeah. And then depending on how things go, maybe you can be up for bigger roles or ideally, I mean, that's where I'd like to be, is where they only ask you or you do auditions for bigger roles for things.
And especially like speaking roles only.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it really depends on how hard you work. And then, like what do you go after?
I really want to ask you this, but obviously answer as comfortably as you want to.
Sure.
How was it being like on The Good Mother, The Bad Mother? Is that the title?
Oh, the good bad mom.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The Good Bad Mom? I thought it was The Good Mother, The Bad Mother.
In Korean, it's napunama.
How was that experience? Like, you don't have to go deep into
Yeah.
it. Like, did you just like, did it open like your eyes to wanting to do more speaking roles, or like how was it?
So, I feel a little arrogant saying this part, but
it was amazing.
no, not that. I was gonna say before that, I was lucky enough to already be getting speaking roles.
You were getting speaking roles for sure.
And
yeah.
I had already sort of worked my way, done my time in a sense, make it sound like prison, but yeah, done my time in the extra realm and stuff. And so then proved myself. And then I got to a point where they were only calling me to do speaking roles, which was nice.
That is so nice.
But the speaking roles, again, unfortunately, there was a time, let me backtrack here.
Like Josh is trying so hard to like be PC. He's like, wait.
Well, no, it's just kind of a little bit, but also kind of confused my timeline there. What I want to jump back and say is, being brutally honest, there was a time in the very beginning where I spent like maybe a day. Actually, it was very short, but a day where I was kind of just mad about entertainment here.
Oh, everybody goes through that for sure.
But what I came to the conclusion about within those 24 hours were that it's called K entertainment. And that's the key thing that a lot of people who hold on to their anger, I think, forget.
It's Korea, guys.
you will never be the main.
Never.
Be-
Unless for some reason they're like, we just want a foreigner, which I don't think there's ever going to be. But
well, that's kind of what ended up happening with Andrea in The Good Bad Mom, the Napunama.
the woman?
No, the character I played. His name was his name was Andrea.
I am a terrible friend.
It's okay, don't worry.
Let me tell you why I didn't watch it before you go home and you're like. So it looked very dramatic from the trailer. Yeah, and I don't like dramatic dramas. Well, ironic, but I like more like action dramas.
Sure.
So I was just like, oh, Josh is in there. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, just to get to Josh's scene, I have to go through that. So I just looked at your Instagram.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough. And
but again, there was this comment that I had seen on Instagram. I forgot to tag you on it, but they were talking about foreign actors in Korea and how cringe like they see, like when they watch a Korean drama with a foreign actor in it, they're always like, oh, it's like really cringe.
Yeah.
But she was like, but the only role I've ever seen played well was the foreign man on Good Mom, Bad Mom, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I know him.
That's awesome.
I need to tag you in that, but I was
Sure.
like they were like, everybody sucks, and then they were like, only Josh is good.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, Josh, he famous.
That makes me feel pretty good. That makes me feel pretty good.
Yeah, I guess you did a really, really good job.
That's where I was going with my point, was going to be that because it's K entertainment, there isn't really the effort or the concept of how to write in a good foreign character.
Especially in English.
Right.
Yeah.
So we are a pylon, right? Or we're
You're
a
like
prop.
A plus.
Yeah.
You're just in there. Yeah.
You know, if you're a woman, then a lot of times you're used as, you know, the little hussy who comes in and tries to steal the main man. Yeah. And then the woman, the main actor comes in and she's like, hey, that's my man. And then like slaps you, right? But reverse, if you're a guy, you're usually the one trying to be some like, you know, man pimp thing and come in and like steal. Like you're always written to be.
They're all weird roles.
Yeah, but
I feel like your role was definitely different.
Yes, and that was why I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Almost always they like see me, they're like white guy beard, and like right now I don't have a beard, which is it's been like 2 years since I've, and then, but they're like white guy beard means bad man, and so I'm always the bad businessman,
or something like that too,
bad businessman, the drug dealer, the whatever, the gangster, or a doctor, right?
I'll take the doctor role.
Yeah. And then, but you're a doctor role with like one line. You come in, and you're like, you're sick.
It's
and then
syphilis.
That's right.
Really
It's
syphilis.
syphilis. And then cut. And then
you're like, okay, bye.
Yeah, that's it. So
Yeah.
that's primarily how they. And then you just sort of pop in and out, which actually you don't even pop. Yeah, it's just pop in and pop out, and then that's it. One time.
No line or anything.
You know, I keep getting recognized or like mentioned from Vincenzo, that drama from a couple years ago. But I literally pop up.
Were you the doctor?
No, I was the drug dealer guy. So I like pop up and it's just this video call. So it's,
I remember.
Right?
I remember. I watched this drama.
Yeah. And then I just sit there and I'm like, yes, let's destroy Korea. And then that's it.
I remember that scene. I was like, what the hell is Josh doing?
Right?
Oh my God.
And yeah.
Yeah, I do remember the video.
That's it. And you're like, where is the proper writing? Where is the story structure? Where? And they're just like, we need to show that we're international. Throw the white guy in.
And make him a drug dealer.
Whoop. And then, and he's from America, of course. And then,
of course, only Americans are drug dealers.
Yes. And then that's
Korean
it.
Film, yeah.
So,
oh my God, that tickled me.
The post that you were talking about,
Yeah.
where she was saying all these other ones are cringe and done poorly.
Yeah.
That's largely in part because of the writing,
The script, yeah.
and then the directing, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, and this is the hardest thing to figure out how to navigate very delicately, is when you walk on set, they're like, you look like a foreigner, but I want you to act like a Korean.
Because it is Korea.
And then that happens even more in commercial work, because you get on there and they're like, okay, do this. And there's not really as much acting, it's more modeling involved. But then they always say, and I hate hearing this from them, they're like, more natural, be more natural.
I hate when they say that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
But then what they say by that is, what that translates to is be more Korean.
We have to think it's natural. It's that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like for Americans, you might be natural, but not for Koreans.
Not for Koreans.
You need to be natural for Koreans.
For Koreans, which
Yeah.
means behaving like a Korean.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know what that is, though.
Right. And then they're like, you're like, how about you just tell me what you want.
Yeah.
So there are two situations I come back to that I always hold in my mind, and I try to share as often as I can to new actors and stuff. One of them is this prime example. We were doing this commercial, and the director said to me, okay, it was this like ridiculous concept, and I had to like push this trolley into this scene, and the camera's right in front of me, right? And I'm supposed to look like really, and he said, I want you to be super confident.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And so I'm like, turkey chest this, right? Chin up, like, let's go. Like, yeah, I got this. Roll in. The director goes, cut. And he's like, no. And you're like, okay. How about some more direction other than just no?
Damn.
Yeah.
No.
But then he had to like do something. So he steps off to the side and he's talking to somebody else. And then my manager, she comes over and she goes, okay, I think I get it. She goes, just trust me. She said, chin down and just like, really serious face and just stare into the camera. And I was like,
How is this confident?
and I was like, okay. And then we go back and he goes, ready. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, go. And I just chinned down, like stared in the camera and just pushed it in. And he's like, perfect.
Amazing. Oscar
And he starts
worthy.
clapping and he's like, you nailed that. And he's so happy.
Oscar.
And then I turn around, I look at my manager and I was like, what the hell just happened?
Like, how was that confident?
And then that's the difference though, right? Is that you really have to translate the culture.
Yeah, because for like American/Canadian, it wouldn't be that type of
No,
acting
that
at
would
all.
be very aggressive.
Yeah,
That
it's
would
very
be
like
Yeah.
dang, like chill out.
dominating
Yeah.
and like you're going in with a mission kind of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't get any sense of confidence from that at all. But that's so you really have to think about the culture.
Like in Korean culture, how would this translate type of thing? Yeah.
Then the other, even more, I think, like poignant or perfect example of this is I went to this one agency and they were trying to build up a new foreign model book, basically. And they're like, okay, we just want to do some, and they never tell you what's going to happen, right? You just roll in this, suddenly they're like, hey, let's just do some photos. And I'm in like, like just casual clothes like this. And I was like,
okay.
so then he's taking pictures and he goes, okay, I want more charisma, more charisma. So us being Westerners, I'm just like, all right. And so I'm like, sure. And like big smile, like, hey, like trying to pull like a Henry Cavill kind of thing.
Trying
Like,
to be,
hey,
charmed, like,
yeah,
yeah.
charm, right? And then this director or this photographer just gets like visibly frustrated. And he's just like, enough. And then just walks away. And I was like, and again, my manager, she was busy talking to like the one who was trying to organize this whole book and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were having this sort of side conversation.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm like, what the hell just happened? And he just walks away and then he's mumbling something in Korean and then boom. And so then I leave. My manager comes over. She's like, what happened? I explained. And she goes, what'd you do? And I said, well, I did charisma. Like, hey. And she goes, yeah. So we call it Korean charisma.
Yeah.
So I kid you not, you can do this at any time. If you go on Naver, the Google, like the Korean Google,
Yeah.
right? And you search the word charisma, you get pictures of like Gong Yu or some of these other major actors and their faces are just poker face.
That's charisma?
That's Korean
Just
charisma.
being like straight face.
Exactly. It's just the,
How's that charismatic? I mean, maybe again, Korean culture,
Right.
But like for me, as like a Kenyan/American, I wouldn't consider that charismatic. But
well, and
I
that's, then if you go on Google
guess. And search charisma.
and search charisma,
Yeah.
you get images and everyone like Tom Cruise, like, hey,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Big
being very,
smiles,
like,
blah, blah.
almost
Yeah.
open, like friendly type
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
So again, it's this, you have to translate the culture. And then sometimes you learn these lessons that like by English definition,
Yeah.
their idea of charisma is completely wrong.
Well,
But
which would be true because they're using the English word of charisma. So.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's their adaptation of the word. And so you need to learn that that's, so whenever they say
Wait,
charisma,
charisma would be 매력적인. I just realized in Korean it definitely isn't like a
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
This will almost be seen as silly in Korean. It's
So-
not charismatic. It's
Okay.
not 매력적인,
Okay.
which is the word for
Charisma.
it translates to charisma, but in Korean I see what you mean.
Right.
Because when I think of 매력 in Korean, it would be like Gongyu being like handsome, like
Yeah.
cool looking.
Chic.
Yeah, like very chic.
Yeah.
There we go. But when you translate it to English, that's not it.
No.
It's just chic.
Yeah.
it's
Exactly. We just call that chic.
Yeah, that's being chic. Yeah.
So then when directors they say, oh, charisma, and I go, 잠시만요. I'm like, Korean charisma? Western charisma.
American.
And then they go, hey? And then Joy, my manager,
Yeah.
she explains real quick. And then the director goes, oh, and he goes, okay, Korea charisma. And you're like, okay.
It's the for me
Yeah.
because that is exactly how all of them.
They all do it, right?
Well, and you know what's funny? I've had a scene where I had to like act shocked,
Yeah.
and that's what they wanted.
And then we would see that as overacting.
Yeah, it's
Right?
like too much.
Always.
Yeah.
But then they're like, more,
They're like,
more.
we love it.
Yeah,
Like, have you
exactly.
watched reality shows here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they give you a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like the facial expressions
Yeah.
have to be on point.
Yeah, because you were
For
on
sure.
that pyramid.
The
Daehan-
piano cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see my reactions?
Yes, I did.
Like I
Yeah.
was doing the most.
When I saw your clips, I was like, she nailed it. That was my thought. It was she knew
Yeah.
the assignment. Go big.
Yeah.
and she nailed it.
Literally, you have to go big. if
And
you're doing
then
those
you got
expressions.
screen time.
Yep, I was like, I'm getting screen time some way and somehow.
Yep.
Because my manager was like, you have to do like exaggerate everything.
Yep.
Like Koreans love that like exaggeration because it's like cultural, you know.
It is.
But for America, it would just be like, are you okay? Like,
Yeah.
chill out.
Just-
Like you're doing too much right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, are you on drugs?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
right.
literally like that. Yeah.
Yep.
But in Korea, it's like so different. But in like all the things that you've done, or even being in Korea for those 6 years, like what's like one hardship that you say you face? I mean, there's definitely a lot that we've named, but what's one thing that you would be like, oh, I really had a hard time with this, and maybe you've overcome it, or maybe you haven't overcome it yet. Is there anything that you can think of?
Friendship.
Oh, for you too. But you're so social. Are you not so? You are social.
I mean, I'm an extrovert, but what I mean by that is,
good friends.
I guess there's no other way to say it other than just like making friends. We'll get unfiltered. We'll get deep.
Oh, let's
we'll
get deep.
Um,
Let's go deep.
so
Call
for,
them out by name.
That's right.
This person did me dirty.
That's right.
Let's be very unfiltered right now. Let's make a little death notebook.
That's right. Let's just start scribbling down. Are you typing this up? That's right.
Who do we have to find? Go, Josh.
Hunt down their
We'll find them.
Instagrams and start bombing them.
Send the 4 subscribers I have to them.
That's right. That's right. Go write bad messages. For me, no, it's been making friends, especially with female Koreans.
I already know where this is going.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
really hard for me. To the point that now I like, honestly, if I'm brutally honest, I have like trauma.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
not bad.
It's like whenever I'm around a Korean woman, I lose all confidence in how I'm supposed to behave
Oh wow, okay.
because of the cultural differences.
Which
I
are
have
huge.
they are massive. People
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, come over and it'll be rainbows and
No,
unicorns." You're
it's
like,
very
actually,
different.
there's a mold that you're supposed to follow, and then when you don't, the word they always slap on it is, oh, it's a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So a very minor example. So I can give different extremes, but on
Yeah.
like the lesser extreme version, when I was working in Hagwon at first, I was an English teacher.
Yeah.
So I did that for about 2.5 years.
Oh wow, you did for a
Yeah.
long time. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say this before, but so now I'm still acting and stuff, but now I'm actually at a game company, and I just took on the role as game director.
Oh, let's go, Josh.
Yeah,
You
so
got a director role.
yeah, so I'm game director at a company,
Yeah.
and then waiting for I just did 2 auditions for bigger roles for
Oh,
some dramas.
wow.
So we're waiting to see if I get either of them, but we'll see. No,
Dang it.
no.
I want you to be on that so bad.
Oh, I rejected it. Back to the friendship thing.
Yeah.
So first, I was an English teacher, and then at my Hagwon, my receptionist, she was a very funny girl, right?
Yeah.
And in the mornings we'd be chatting and stuff like that, and then like when I'd be waiting between classes, and then the one day she made this joke, and it was like my first week in
Yeah.
Seoul.
Yeah.
So I already been living in Korea for about 7 months.
Yeah.
I was teaching kids at a different Hagwon in like the very bottom of Korea.
The boonies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just above Busan, like in the countryside.
The boonies, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where I started. And then I left there after 7.5 months and then came to Seoul. Started teaching here, had been here for like a week. And then in that week, there was one day and she made me laugh. And I laughed and I was like, you're funny. I was like, I like you. And then
Oh no!
See?
Oh no! You
she
said
got it
that.
right away. She got it right away.
No, this girl will be like, "Oh my god, he likes me," immediately. Like I've definitely lived here long enough to know that's how it is now. You can't make those type of remarks. Oh no, Josh. And in America, I would just be like, oh, I like you too, because like banter is good, you know? It's like, oh, we're friends. I like you too, you know? It's not like you said you love me or something. Even I love you is very easy in America. Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you too. And that's it. If you say I love you here, that's like harassment. How did you
So
explain that situation?
like a week went by, and in that week, she went from being my friend to just the most awkward girl you've ever met.
Oh,
And I was
no.
like, what the hell happened? And so,
my God.
again, it's very counter to Korean culture to be confrontational. But I was like,
yeah, you can't. Yeah.
nope. But I was like, I need to solve this now
Right.
because she's our like company receptionist.
Right. You can't have these
right?
awkward moments every time you walk in.
And so then I just walked up to her one day and like the class isn't emptied. It was just before she had to leave. And I said, what is going on?
yeah.
And like she spoke English as well, right?
Right,
And
right.
so it was communication was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, well, yeah, I mean, you said you like me. And my mind just exploded. I honestly, I could not believe it. And I was like,
Because it's like, yeah, I like you. Like, you're cool. Before she's like,
so you know what I said to her? I was just looking at her so confused. And I
Yeah.
went, yeah, I like you the same way I like cake. That was my word for word. I said that. And then her brain exploded.
Oh
I could
my
just see it
God.
behind her eyes. And she
Yeah.
was like, what? And I was like, I don't
like you.
want to date you. I said, no.
just
And
like
I
you.
said,
Yeah.
I like cake. I like you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like, there's no in between here.
There's
Like,
nothing.
I don't fancy you like that.
Yeah. And then
Oh my God.
again, because this is Korea, confrontation, not a thing. So then for the next couple of days, she was a little weird.
Yeah.
But then she got over it.
Yeah.
And then it smoothed out and it was fine.
And you guys were chill. Okay.
And it was okay.
Okay.
But
Wow. Yeah, you can't say that in Korea. They will literally be like, he likes me. And you're just like, you have to be very careful when it comes to the other sex here. Even for me right now, like, I've been going through it, Josh. I'm going through it. I can't be nice to men here.
that's it.
Like, I'm nice and they think I like them. And
Yep.
I'm like, I don't like you. I'm just being a nice person.
Yep.
If you're nice to some, not all, because some people do understand, they would definitely think you like them more than a friend. But you're just being a nice person.
Yep. So
It's a
especially,
lot.
I mean, your viewers might not know. So I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're neighbors basically,
America.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But in both countries, and I mean, we have a reputation for being friendly.
Oh yeah, Canadians are very known to be very friendly.
And so generally, yeah, that's part of my character
Yeah.
is just being friendly and
nice.
just have whatever.
Yeah.
But that has been, and I'm doing air quotes here
Mm-hmm.
for those that are just listening, misinterpreted or
Mm-hmm.
creates misunderstandings so often.
Yeah.
And so that's where that like PTSD trauma
Oh,
has
I
come in,
bet,
where
I
I
bet.
meet a Korean girl, we're in a group or whoever, and I'm just like hands to myself,
yeah.
crossed like behind my back or something,
Yeah.
and then they're like, hi, and you're like, hi,
How are you?
yep, and and then the problem that has arisen is now they're like, oh, he's not interested in me. So then even if I am, and I'm like, I want to get to know you better
Yeah.
to see if maybe we could date.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, if I do anything, then
You'll be
how far will
misinterpreted.
you misinterpret this
yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
For sure.
I learned in another very extreme situation, no touching.
Oh yeah. Even do you know how I laugh and hit you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that in Korea.
Nope.
No, you can't be laughing and touching people.
And when I say no touching, like, I don't want you to think I'm thinking inappropriate things at
No,
all.
just
I
like
mean just
small innocent touches, too.
friendly touch, punch, whatever. Not at all.
Not
Like,
in Korea.
unless it's a very obvious high five, but then even,
High five.
but then
Okay.
Koreans even are very awkward about that.
They're like,
Yeah. And they just don't know what to do.
yeah, they don't. They really don't.
Or at my gym right now, I've joined an Olympic lifting gym. And
Ooh.
so that's what I've been doing for a little bit now.
Games, yeah.
And like, I'm always the guy going around and like fist bumping whoever I'm working with.
Yeah.
And because we'll be on the same platform and alternating the weights and stuff. And then I'll like fist bump. But even with dudes, and I go to fist bump, they're like,
They don't know what to do.
and then they
Yeah.
try to make it really formal and do two hands and
Yeah.
a two-handed fist bump. I'm like, what is
A
that?
little bowing
Yeah.
and then fist bump, and you're like, wait, what?
Or
But yeah.
the newest one I've seen, because I'll just do like a single, put out a fist, like
Yeah.
boom, right? Like, nice job, boom,
Yeah.
that's it. But then they're like two-hand fist, and I'm like, they put their fists together and then fist bump my one, and I'm like, what are you doing? All right.
Like,
It's just
yeah.
contact is not a thing unless you're in a relationship.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And even I feel like this is like one of the biggest obvious things that Westerners do. When you meet someone, you hug them.
Yep.
Right? Like it's just like, oh hi, how are you? Yeah, I stopped doing that in Korea to Koreans.
Yep.
I don't hug
Nope.
Koreans.
Nope.
Unless you're like raised in like America or Canada or Australia or something. If you're raised in Korea, lived in Korea, I've never been outside of Korea, I'm not hugging you.
Yep.
Because you're gonna misinterpret why I'm
Yep.
hugging you immediately.
100%.
So yeah, hugs. And you know what's funny? I'm very icky to touch now. Also,
Yeah.
even in the subway, if somebody just kind of grazes over me and touches me, I feel very icky. Which I don't know if it's because of like the whole no touch thing in Korea, but I'm very about touch.
And
Yeah.
this year, April, I was able to actually visit back home,
Yeah.
and then was with my buddies and stuff, and I missed that.
Like just being like, hey, what's up? What's
Yeah.
up? Like, yeah.
And just the physical contact, the just generalness of it. And then, of course, there's physical contact you reserve for your significant other.
Of course, yeah.
But it's just, in Korea, it's just a flat out no touch.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be misinterpreted.
so my situation, long story short, was just I was with a friend who had been out drinking with many times.
Yeah.
And
this is a girl?
yeah.
Okay.
And she's actually one of my coworkers
Yeah.
back then. And then we were out at a bar. We'd been drinking from like 10 p.m. to like 6 a.m.
Which is so common in Korea.
Yeah. And so this was like our 5th time doing that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of this one night in particular, or it's the morning now, they're eating some Chinese food. Hell yeah. And 6 a.m. Chinese food. And she was wearing this really nice ring. And I just gestured and I had my hand out, palm up, and was like, oh. And then she was kind of looking at me and her hand was there. And then I gently grabbed and like her hand lifted a little bit. So there was some motion.
Oh, so you were like, oh, I can go and take
And
it.
so then a little bit, like the tiniest bit, I didn't just like grab her
Yeah,
hand, right?
yeah.
Wouldn't ever do that. And then I just touched her like fingertips. And I just held them for a second so I could extend her finger and actually look
So you
at
can
the
see
ring.
The ring, yeah.
Because it had
Which is
this
very
like,
common because people would be like this.
yeah,
right
they'll
here.
put their hand or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, nice ring.
Yeah.
And then I said it first.
Yeah.
And then I think that's why her hand moved. And then I just grabbed her fingertips and then I looked at the ring and I was like, yeah, that's really nice. And it had these cool like engravings on it
Yeah.
and stuff. After that, just wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't look at me, just ice for
Oh my
like,
goodness.
for 2 weeks. And then
And again, the confrontation, she didn't ask you why you did that.
there's
She just
zero.
stopped.
After that, even after I did that, then she like hurriedly finished her drink and then was like, I have to go home, and then just left. And I was like, well, that was weird.
Oh
I
my
don't.
goodness.
So this is why I got like trauma. I'm like,
Yeah, it
and these
is
were my first
traumatizing.
2 experiences in like my first month in Korea.
That is traumatizing.
And then since then, it's just been variations. Those would be the extremes. And then it's just been variations of that since.
And it's like never ending because you have to meet the other gender somehow. Like
Yeah.
you can't only meet guys in Korea. So I definitely can see how like that's really sad though.
And then when you're on set, film sets or things like that, like for Napunama, right? I was on set a lot. And then you learn that even with there was all the extras or something, they really like segregate you. It's like foreigners over here,
Yeah.
Koreans over here.
yeah, they don't
And
put you
then
together.
if a guy goes over and starts talking to the girls, she might like you. She might be interested in you. But because, again, other people's perception of you is so important in Korean culture, she won't talk to you.
She won't.
She won't give you your Instagram, nothing
Nope.
like that, because then she'll be seen as a slut.
Yeah, like she's easy.
She's easy, exactly.
When it's just like if you're interested in someone, you should talk to them. It's just-
But you can't because there's so many
Yeah.
people around. So you got to
Yeah.
like get them one-on-one or something.
Yeah.
And so I am always flabbergasted when I see or hear about these other foreigners, male foreigners that I chat with on set or just Instagram, whatever, and they're just meeting women all the time. I'm like, how do you do it? Because my entire experience here has been so difficult.
yeah.
And that's been my biggest challenge is just and then there's also the whole ghosting culture.
Oh my God. I've said this so many times. Korea is the ghosting champion.
Yeah, I
Like-
mean,
Amazing at ghosting.
yeah, there is, I had this like, I pretty much now have cut out most Korean women in my life. Like I hardly
That is
talk
so
to any
sad.
of them.
Understandable why you have to, but like, yeah.
And it's just it was just such a headache all the time
Yeah.
that now I just don't even bother.
yeah.
And
yeah.
then, there's there are a number of women as well where I'd be friends with them, but then they just disappear for like
Without saying anything.
8 months, just gone.
They'll come back like nothing happened.
Right? They come back and then it's like, hi. And I'm like, what do you mean hi?
Like you left me on red 8 months ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I messaged you multiple times. There was no answer for 8 months. What's
Yeah.
going on? And they're like, oh, I broke up with my boyfriend, so now it's okay. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, your second choice.
She knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it's not just that you're second choice. It's like people need to understand, it is very, very common that when you enter a relationship, if you're a man, you cut contact
With every woman.
with every opposite gender person.
Everyone, yeah.
And vice versa. You're a
Yeah.
woman, you cut contact with all males.
Yeah. Which is what?
And so basically now I know that if I meet someone and then they agree to that kind of behavior,
Yeah.
I know that we are not compatible.
Not at all.
Because I value independence. I am not a jealous person. And I encourage and have encouraged my previous girlfriends to have male friends. I'm like, I don't want to be the only guy in your life.
Yeah, that would be weird too.
It is.
Yeah. it's
And
a-
then it creates this kind of clingy dynamic. And
obsessions also, they start, yeah.
And then they've only got my perspective versus if you've got 5 or 6 other bros that you've had, because you're going to have friends that you've had.
Before you get in these relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I always like, because I've obviously met Korean men who are like, oh, I don't like that you have guy friends. And in my head, I'm always like, these people were here before you were here.
Yeah.
Like, who are you to think you can just tell me who to cut off when you just came into my life?
Yeah.
Like, I never understood that. But when I meet, like, some of my I've had a Korean guy friend literally get a girlfriend. And I texted him. He was like, my girlfriend said I can't talk to you. And
Yep.
I was just like, dude, I've known you for 4 years. What
Yep.
are we talking about?
Yep.
And literally after that, never talk to me again.
Yep.
They broke up. And then he came back.
Hey, Paris.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm over it.
Yep.
Because if you threw me away that easily, why would you think I would just be like, oh, hey, you're back?
Mm-hmm.
What is this? This is not McDonald's. You can't have it your way. Like, what are you talking about? Is that McDonald's?
I don't know.
Is that Burger King? You can have it your way.
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Ignore that. Ignore that. But yeah, it's like literally like, but you get what I mean. Like,
Yes.
you can't pick and choose when you want to come into my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they don't understand that.
Yes. And so, of course, when people ask me, they're like, oh, well, do you want a Korean girlfriend? I'm like, I don't care what nationality you are.
Yeah.
What has become more important in my life and what I've learned, and actually one of the other questions you said that we might discuss was best things that you've gotten.
Oh, well, let's go with that. What are the best memories or the best things that you've experienced in Korea?
I'm actually going to cheat a little bit on that answer. And I'm going to go more broad because it really doesn't have, I'm sure, again, other foreigners would say similar things, but excuse me, I think the more different answer is growth, emotional and mental, spiritual growth. But it's been because of things like this struggle with friendship
Yeah.
and then learning, what is friendship to me? What do you value in that? What are you
Yeah.
looking for? And the same kind of thing with work and just life balance. So there's been a lot of self-reflection and trying to grow as a person
Yeah.
and then figure out more of who I am and what I want. That I don't necessarily attribute to Korea. I attribute that to travel.
Like moving around.
So in the few times I've gotten to actually do a podcast or an interview or something, I've been very vocal about encouraging people to travel but not visit, like actually live there.
Yeah.
We're in a world right now where you have the opportunity to do that,
Yeah.
to actually travel and then live in a different country.
Yeah.
And I learned because I'd visited other countries, but then when I actually moved to Korea, that's when I realized, wow, there's a huge difference
It's different.
between just visiting. When
it's
you get this surface level, everything's hunky-dory, to you live here, now you actually understand the culture. You get the friendship thing.
Because like in 2 weeks you're not gonna experience those struggles at all.
No.
You have to live here for like maybe a few months, and then those struggles you start like seeing them.
Yeah.
So 100%.
And then not only that, you start, like, if you want to go even deeper, live here, but then work in that country's style of business, right? You start working in a Korean company,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're just like, wow,
It's different.
it's very different.
Very different.
So there's so many layers, and that's what I encourage people to do, is actually go there, live there.
Mm-hmm.
When I was quite young, I was in my early 20s, I lived in Whistler.
Where's Whistler?
Whistler in like just, you have to start in Vancouver and you drive a few hours
Oh,
into
so
the
still in
mountains.
Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I lived there for a summer with my brother,
Mm-hmm.
who was already living there. And one of my many jobs was working as a stock boy at this grocery store.
Talk boy sounds so funny. I don't
Yeah. And I used to call our lunchtime the United Nations.
know. Yeah.
Because it's Whistler, it's a
Yeah.
tourist attraction,
Oh, so
major
it's all
tourist.
different nations like coming to
Everyone, right?
Yeah.
So you start hearing their stories, but my favorite thing was this Aussie couple, this
Mm-hmm.
married couple. And they said, yeah, we just move and live in different countries every 6 months.
Wow.
And I was like, that is so cool. And I was
That is
early 20, I was like
amazing.
22.
Yeah.
And I heard this and I was like, I want that. I want to try that.
Sheesh, 6 months all the time. How do they get the finances for that?
Well, because they move there, they work.
Oh, they work and get the
Right
money
away,
and then move again.
And then move again. And they did that. And they've been doing that for like 3 years or something like that. So they lived in multiple countries.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really nice because they're married and they had each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was pretty inspirational. And
Is that why you were like, I want to leave Canada?
not that one specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those questions where when you look at, sequence of events in hindsight,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like, this one, they all contributed to where I am now,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it was just more of that like light bulb, like that's actually possible. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I never realized is that us in Canada and America, we are so far removed from basically
100%.
the entire world.
Oh, 100%.
When you're here, you have so much easier access to so many other countries.
Especially like, because Asia is just like around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that expensive to leave Korea to go to like another Asian country at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can get more expensive heading to like deeper parts of Europe, but
Oh,
even
yeah,
then,
Europe, definitely,
that's
yeah.
still cheaper than flying out of
From
Canada
America. Yeah,
or
in
America.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for people flying. Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Flying from like America to Thailand would be thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But from Korea to Thailand was like $500, which is
Nice.
like way cheaper. So I've definitely gotten to this mentality where I'm like, I need to explore a little bit more. And I don't know if it's just as me as a girl or whatnot, but like I just know these opportunities, these English. These opportunities are not going to come up as much if I do get married and have kids.
Yeah.
Because that's another, like, it's basically a job.
Yep.
Then,
Oh, yeah.
So, like, when you're young, it's definitely the best time to do it. Or when you're not with child.
When you're not tethered down.
Yeah, when you don't have something that you have to give all your concentration to.
Sure.
So, yeah. And I'm trying to travel a little bit more.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to save that guap, that money.
You're so up to date on the slang. When I get your messages through Instagram and you're like you're throwing down bets and bet, got it. I was like, I see these things in memes and then you're actually using it and I was like, I feel like an old man. I really don't
I
understand.
spend an unhealthy amount of time on Instagram.
Okay, well, it's paying off. I tell you
Well,
that.
I mean, that's true. People are like, oh my gosh, she's young.
That's right.
I'm not.
And you throw down the word guap. If I do that, I could.
That's all.
That's right.
People will be like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Josh? What's a guap?
Who's this poser? Yeah.
Are you trying to be fetch? People even say fetch.
I don't think so.
That's so
I
fetch.
think that's gone, isn't it?
It used to be like a Mean Girls thing, right?
Yeah.
That's so fetch.
Oh man, that was such a good movie.
Oh my God. Movies back in the day were amazing.
Yeah.
But is there something that's not in Korea or something that you wish Korea had that's not in Korea? This can be like anything. Manners,
Yeah.
brands, respect. I don't know. Koreans have respect.
Damn,
I'm
that
just
that went like that just.
They don't have manners. They don't have respect. No, I'm just kidding. They do.
Sure, they do. The biggest thing for me, I think, is I wish there was more consideration for the environment.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as something as simple as just, especially coming from Canada, where
Yeah.
everything is about reduced packaging and more
Yeah.
green
I
and
know
all
what
that,
you're
right?
talking
So
about
that's
already.
what I find kind of a scapegoat, a little bit unfair, is Korea, yes, had a crazy history, and then really since 65 till now, Korea has had its real development
Oh
period.
yeah, they've like hit the roof definitely. Yeah.
So they develop so fast, and it's fantastic, right? But they still, when you talk to middle-aged men and women, and then of course seniors, they still have the mentality that they're a third world country, and they treat the environment as if they're a third world country. If you look environmentally and at like a GDC or not GDC, what is it? OCED, right? Isn't that called the?
What are you talking about?
It's the global like look at. Anyway, somebody can comments.
Like the GDP?
Yeah, no, not that one.
Not that GDP. I don't know.
They, when they're looking at all the nations and working together.
Yeah.
If you look at one of those reports, they talk about which ones are considered, of course, first, second, third world countries. But you see that first world countries, their priorities become about preserving the environment.
Right.
So there is that transition. And when you're a third world country, you're just trying to develop.
Yeah.
So there is a complete lack of concern for the environment. But Korea is so far beyond a third world country.
Oh, no, it's not even close.
No,
Yeah,
it should definitely be considered a first world.
Yeah.
And so I wish there was more consideration and emphasis on environment. Then, of course, the argument that has been thrown my way before when I've just briefly mentioned this to in other places was, well, we have recycling everywhere. Yeah, but have you ever actually tracked where the recycling goes?
I've never actually, funny enough.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of reports, again, that just say, you separate everything, and then they take it all to the landfill anyway. It just gets...
So what's the point of recycling?
Exactly. There's no actual... I mean, I can't say...
All of them, some.
I can't say there's no recycling, but generally, in a lot of cases, especially depending on what city you're in, it's just all going to the same place anyway. So it's just that, what do they call it? Safety theater kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of just theatrics of that we're doing it.
It's on face, it looks great, but behind the scenes, it's different.
But exactly, it's not actually happening. So those kind of things, and it's not difficult to find those kind of reports online as well.
Which is actually funny that you said that. I have a friend who literally is like, what's the point of recycling? Korea does not, fulfill the recycling thing. So she just puts everything in one bag thing, which I don't condone.
Yeah.
It's not my family or my household, but she's also like team, like they're not going to recycle anyway. So why am I having to go out, separate all these things when they're just all going to put this in the same landfill? That's like her thought process. But I mean, I still recycle, and I'm pretty sure you still recycle.
Of course.
And then after whatever happens after we recycle, we are not sure of.
One of my jobs back in Canada, I actually worked for a recycling company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was also why it's kind of a little passion. Yeah.
Now you're like, I've seen it happen in Canada. Can it happen in Korea too?
Well, even we were pretty mad at Canada because they were doing the same thing, where it's just, especially in Toronto, they got nailed for it in Toronto, where it was just, hey, everyone working their ass off to separate, blah, blah, and then... they have bought these different trucks and they collect this and that, and it comes in and you're like, where does that truck go?
Somebody follows
And it was literally, they just investigate. They just follow the truck and it was like, all same landfill.
Same thing. Yeah,
just started burying it underground, and you're like, holy shit.
How does that help the environment?
So of course Canada, freaked out, and then Toronto got, what is this, like all the punishments and like taking away funding and blah blah, and then it's like, yo, fix your shit. And then they finally did to some degree. I have a number of friends actually who work for recycling municipalities, or work in different municipalities and then in the recycling departments and stuff. And we've had conversations about this. So it's the biggest problem is just that it's expensive. The technology is there, but nobody with power and money is actually investing in it to make it cheaper.
They'd rather put that money in something else.
Sure.
It's always like that.
And so we just continue to destroy our environment.
But is there any last words that you'd like to say, or what is it called?
My sign off advice?
Or advice you would want to give the audience?
I guess I could reiterate travel, but live there.
Yeah, if you have the finances for it, definitely try it. Or Josh can help you.
I also need the finances right now, so
please donate.
we did talk about how It's difficult to be in entertainment here.
It's not easy. Yeah,
Um,
you're gonna be poor for a while.
Yeah. So that would be the big thing, the first one. And then the second one is if you're dead set on coming here, just be aware that it can be a very great time. If it wasn't, then we both wouldn't have been staying here for so long.
For sure.
There are hardships though, and they will come in ways that you didn't expect. So I came here thinking it would be language barrier and then just learning the culture. And I maintain that I come at everything without ethnocentrism. I'm not trying to be like, yo, I'm Canadian. This is how we do it in Canada.
Oh, yeah, no,
this
no,
is
no.
better.
Yeah.
None of that shit, right? Leave that at home.
Yeah, please do. This is not Canada.
There's
or
no
America.
space for that, no matter where you're coming from. When you come here,
There's not.
you need to understand, going back to my stories about translating the culture. What is charisma here? What is, confidence look like? That kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So you do have to adapt. This is a very homogenous country. The actual population of foreigners for all of Korea is only 3%. But that's all foreigners.
Yeah.
That's not
That's very little.
that's not Westerners. That's all the Chinese. That's all the Russians. That's like everybody.
Any
right?
non-Korean, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a super homogenous country. You are a minority, and that's
You'll
been
always be a minority.
and that's been a really cool flip coming from Canada, where I'm a majority
Yeah, you're a
as just a
majority,
white
yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
right? And then so many things that I've heard friends or stories about in Canada from the minority groups, you actually experience here.
Yeah.
And you're like, shoes on the other foot. And it's interesting. It's very part of that growth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
So be prepared for that, and then just have an open mind, and you'll enjoy it. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is that your log off words?
I think so.
Okay, great. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Korean Filtered. Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
my
you so
show.
much. We'll do Korean stuff.
Oh my God, we don't do that.
Okay, well, handshake.
Yeah, I'm gonna
though.
think you like.
Handshake's okay.
No, I'm gonna think you like me.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, this is Korea. This is not Canada. Get it right.
More trauma. just stacking on
I'm
my
just
trauma.
traumatizing
just
Josh.
stacking on my
I'm
trauma.
like, no, you can't touch me at this point.
That's right.
I
Sorry.
can't even be nice to you because you're gonna think I like you.
That's right.
Ugh. We broke up already. Chill
That's
out.
right. It's my second chance. That's right. Double. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
That's what we've learned. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Korean Filtered, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye. I like how you said take care.